Paskal, we will begin with you for 5 minutes or less.
Thank you very much. And just to clarify, having had enough of British weather, I am now in Miami. Chair, vice chairs, members
well, you just
of the
lost the
committee,
sympathy vote. Okay. Good for you.
Thank you for inviting me to testify today and for your service to democracy. This is an excellent committee, very inspiring. I'm going to begin by explaining very broadly how I think the Chinese Communist Party looks at the world. Then, with that in mind, I'll offer some suggestions for how Canada might like to engage in one specific area. To understand CCP strategies, it helps to know two terms that are common in PRC think tanks. The first is comprehensive national power, abbreviated to CNP. China's Ministry of State Security-linked think tank describes CNP as the total of the powers or strengths of a country in economics, military affairs, science and technology, education, resources, and influence. It is a very broad definition. Adopted by Beijing in the 1990s, PRC researchers obsessively calculate every country's comprehensive national power score. Captain Moreland, who served as U.S. Coast Guard liaison to Beijing, explained that, quote, for the CCP, comprehensive national power as measured by a CNP score is a goal in itself, and pursuit of CNP justifies just about everything, end quote. Apart from the continued survival of the CCP, the main goal of the CCP is for China to be number one in the world in terms of comprehensive national power. Given the rankings are relative, that can be achieved either through outcompeting others or by knocking others down, and so, comparatively, being in a better position. One way the PRC works to increase its own comprehensive national power while decreasing that of others is through unrestricted warfare. That's the second PRC term to remember. A 1999 book by the same name was written by two PLA, People's Liberation Army Air Force colonels. It details a no-rules-apply approach to targeting an enemy. This doesn't mean actual fighting is neglected, more that actual fighting is just one of a very wide range of weapons in the toolkit that the PRC employs, guided by perceptions of efficacy rather than morality or law. The colonel's book details 24 different warfares, including legal warfare, which we know is lawfare, media warfare, and drug warfare. As an example, drug warfare can mean either taking control of a medical supply chain and so increasing your comprehensive national power relative to a country that relies on you for pharmaceuticals, or pumping fentanyl into target countries and so weakening them and their comprehensive national power from the inside. The Chinese Communist Party uses unrestricted warfare to increase its relative comprehensive national power. It is the concept that connects the dots of everything from the artificial islands in the South China Sea to the BRI to getting Canadian teenagers addicted to TikTok. What does this mean for Canadian global engagement? First, an acknowledgement that any good plan, something that bolsters a country's resilience and sovereignty, will be seen by Beijing as a loss to the PRC's comprehensive national power score and so is likely to be attacked. That means anything you try to build should include a plan to protect it, to block malign influence. We need a block and build approach. As for Canadian engagement, let's just look at one geographic area, Oceania, including the Pacific Islands. This is the contested strategic front line between Asia and the Americas. If China gains control, it can box in Taiwan and Japan, South Korea and Australia, and push America back to Hawaii, as Imperial Japan tried to do through its control of its islands during World War II. Conversely, if democracies flourish, it means the survival of a free and open Indo-Pacific. The stakes couldn't be higher. In this context, there are broadly three ways for Canada to engage internationally. First, by bolting on to existing multilateral fora, such as the Pacific Island Forum. Second, by joining a new consortium early enough to shape its development from the start, for example, as would have happened if we had joined Quad or AUKUS. Third, bilaterally and people to people, ideally through specifically Canadian strengths. While all three are important, it might be helpful to spend more time on what's often last on the list, the bilaterals. It would show partners that Canada isn't just a weaker version of Australia, but has something special to offer. For example, there are cultural and historical linkages between the Polynesians and some First Nations, including specifically the Haida. First Nations and Inuit leaders know and understand the challenges of tight-knit communities living in relatively isolated locations, in many cases with complex communal land laws. A knowledge exchange program between them and the people of Oceania would be groundbreaking and trust and resilience building, something few, including the CCP, could offer. Another potential advantage for Canada is language. Some of the Pacific Islands speak English, some French. There's limited crossover between English and French analyses. Canada, in particular Quebec, could set up a global center for excellence for bilingual Oceania analysis that can host visiting scholars from the region, as well as the US, Japan, India, and elsewhere. As an additional bonus, French citizens can study for graduate degrees in Quebec at the same rates Quebecers pay. Students from French Polynesia and New Caledonia are already studying in Quebec. Quebec's proximity to Washington and the United Nations in New York is also a benefit. This is the sort of approach that can explain to the world why Canada. The CCP will not stop in its attempts to increase its comprehensive national power, including by using unrestricted warfare. To ensure democracy continues to flourish in the Indo-Pacific and beyond, we need to block and build, ideally using the tools that are uniquely and wonderfully Canadian. Speaking of which, I'd like to thank you, and I'd like to thank the excellent translators. Merci.